Hello and welcome to Talking Truth Ministries, where my goal is to share the truth to the best of my ability, no matter where that truth may lead us, which sometimes is not always comfortable. But in today's world of lies and deception, from politics to education to religion and science, um, I think it's time for people to investigate the truth. I'm not saying I have all the answers. What I do is try to point people in a direction to investigate, to do your own research. um, I've been studying this stuff for a long time and I'm still learning. So tonight, it's Spiritual Warfare Saturday. And I just finished up the series on the first part of this series on the Nephilim, talking about our spiritual enemies down through history and some of the ways that they're trying to defeat humanity and try to thwart God's plan for the ages. So this is Nephilim Part 2, the coming cosmic deception, the biggest lie of all. Second Thessalonians 2:11 says, and I'm going to put this on a bigger screen here. Says, for this cause God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Now I think that this lie has, it's been building, since the beginning of recorded history, with the lie that the serpent told Eve and subsequently Adam about, the fruit and how God was keeping them from, having knowledge and being gods and all this stuff. But so as time went by, God's plan is going to come to pass, and so Satan's always had to kind of change it up a little bit and attack from different angles. Then he would, after the garden, and there was Genesis 6 where the Watchers came down on Mount Hermon and swore an oath to basically pollute mankind with their DNA. And the giants were born, and then when the giants died, they became the evil spirits that are plaguing mankind to this day in the form of demonic possession, oppression, and all kinds of people being deceived into following their suggestions. And I believe these fallen entities are behind our world governments, our world leaders. They in the social media and conspiracy theory realm, we talk about the shadow government or the deep state. Well, what we're showing here is the deeper state, which is the entities that are behind the actual people that are trying to control the governments and the money and the banks, and they're causing all the wars and trying to destroy mankind. So there's entities, if you will, beings, supernatural beings that are evil, that want to destroy mankind and basically try to stop the return of Christ. And they've tried so many different ways, back even after Genesis 6 and the fall of the Watchers. Then you got after the flood, which destroyed the giants. Then you got Nimrod and the Tower of Babel and the attempt to penetrate heaven, if you will, to try to kill God. Nimrod had the delusion that he could do that. God had to come down and stop the building of the tower and cause the changed the languages of, everybody so they couldn't communicate, and then spread them all out over the world, which was the original mandate after the flood anyway. So at that point, God had to basically divorce himself from humanity, disinherit them, the nations, and he placed them under the authority of um, heavenly beings, the heavenly host, 70 of them, according to the legends and if you look through the genealogies and the table of nations, that's what I'm trying to say. But there were 70 nations placed under 70 divine beings, and those divine beings became corrupt and decided they wanted to be the gods, and then that's where you get the pantheons, and so you got all these, fallen angels pretending to be gods, and then you got demons, and you got, demonic or fallen angels trapped in the abyss who somehow can communicate with the demons, and so you got all this stuff going on in an attempt to try to, again, thwart God's plan. Well, what these demonic forces are, either they're ignorant of, or they're just, I don't know, but God's allowing this to happen for his plan to come to pass. Just like when they crucified Christ, they thought they were going to win, but what they didn't realize was killing the Messiah was the key to the whole plan for it to succeed and to provide redemption for mankind. So this fallen realm, they got the book just like we do, but they don't have, they don't know every detail of it, just like we don't. So they keep falling for God's traps. God just sucks them in, and then just body slams them. They're not gonna get away with anything, but they keep trying. So we're going to talk about the coming cosmic deception and what that's all about. So are we living in the last days? And if you look at the news today and look at what's happening in Israel and what's happening in society, there could be no doubt that we are edging closer to the very last days, if we're not in the very last days. God could drag it out longer if he needs to, or if he chooses to, I guess I should say. But it's looking like the coming of the Lord is soon. A lot of the signs are there. So are we living in the last days? Yes, I believe we are. Now, again, we've been talking about the Nephilim, and the Nephilim are the progeny of fallen angels that cohabitated with human women, or somehow produced children through human women that were giants, and they were evil, and they were just wicked, and they were the origin of genetic evil. And again, it became so prevalent in the genetic code of these giants, spread throughout mankind so bad that Noah and his families were the only ones that were spared from the flood that destroyed everything else, because God had to wipe the slate clean and start over again with Noah and his family. It became so bad. And if you read in Genesis 6, it talks about how there was violence was everywhere, and mankind had been corrupted and everything, and God had to take drastic measures. Now, he promised he'd never flood the earth again, but he never said he wouldn't destroy the earth again. And the next time it's going to be by fire. So let's see the next. So spiritual warfare. This is the key to, or this is the not the key so much as the basis for spiritual warfare, if you will. We are in a spiritual battle from the day we become a Christian. If you're not a Christian, the enemy's not going to bother you, because they already have you. You may be tormented, you may be demon possessed, but that's, because you allow yourself to be that. A Christian, now, they're not going to be demon possessed, but they're going to be hassled by demons, if you will, and they're going to be harassed and they can be oppressed if they've got sin in their lives, or they've got something that is has control of them, like an addiction, or just sinful habits that are hard to break. Those are signs of demonic oppression, if you will, in most cases. Now, a Christian cannot be possessed by a demon or an evil spirit, because they are possessed by the Holy Spirit, and in the Holy, they are no match for the Holy Spirit. So a Christian cannot be possessed, but they can be oppressed if they've got maybe just, the Hebrews calls it don't be beset by the weights and sins that overcome the weights and sins that can beset you. So even Christians, we're not perfect. We try to be. Our goal is to be perfect, but we stumble, we sin, we make mistakes, and key to that is just to repent, and God will forgive you, and try not to do it again. But again, people make mistakes, and sometimes, unfortunately, humanity makes the same stupid mistakes off or more than once. So again, the ultimate issue, and this is kind of a repeat of the last the first part of this series, says the ultimate issue is we are in possession of a message of extraterrestrial origin. Now think about that. The Bible originated in the mind of God, and he inspired the writers to put it in, write it down so that humanity could read it. But God, if you want to loosely think about it, God is an extraterrestrial. He's not from the earth. In fact, he's not even from our realm, so to speak, our reality. He's outside of time. He's outside of space, time, and matter. He created it all. He cannot be part of it. And this message, it portrays us as objects of an unseen warfare. For whatever reason, I guess just because God loves us so much, the enemy hates us even more. So we're kind of like the battleground, if you will. Satan doesn't care so much about, at least I don't think he cares about real estate, but I don't know, maybe he does. But it's, he wants to hate and destroy what God loves. Now, our eternal destiny depends upon our relationship with the winner of this cosmic conflict. And that is probably the most profound statement that you could ever hear. Our eternal destiny. Are we going to live forever, or are we going to die forever? Hell is eternal death. It's not eternal punishment or eternal punishing. It's eternal punishment, that is, and it's final. And I'm gonna talk about that in a different series as far as the nature of hell that has been so misrepresented down through history. But that's for another day. Our warfare, Ephesians 6:2 says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. Those are all different levels of demonic forces, whether they're fallen angel or demons. And those aren't the only ones. Those are the heavy hitters right there. They're ranks in Satan's army. Now, the one of the most important things. Now, I was in the Air Force for 9 years, and we were always, to be aware of who our enemies were. Now, when I was in, it was during the Cold War, so it was the Russians. Russian. That's Russia, kind of like they did to Donald Trump. But anyways, in the spiritual battle, now our top main enemy is Satan. It says in 2 Corinthians 11:14 and 15 that, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. So what this is saying is, modern pop culture has this image of Satan or the devil as this, red horned guy with a pointy tail and a pitchfork, and they're supposed to be scary. But Hollywood's actually kind of getting it now, because like that they had that show Lucifer for a while, where this Lucifer character looked like it was looked like a GQ model. Satan's not going to look like a scary monstrous beast that's going to scare people. He's just not going to do that. He wants to trick people. He wants people to think he's the good guy. There's like, especially the secret societies, I mean, they call him Lucifer, which Lucifer is more of a description than a name. But that's like the Freemasons. Albert Pike, in his book Morals and Dogma, says that Lucifer is the I can't remember how he said it. He's basically, Lucifer's the good guy, and Yahweh is the mean bad God, because he won't let mankind have all this secret knowledge. And if you ever study on the secret societies, you'll see that one of their goals down through history has been trying to reobtain the sacred knowledge that was somehow lost in the past. So Satan is going to look like your best friend. He's going to act like your best friend until he can stick you in the back and destroy you. Now, some of the lesser demonic forces, maybe they're they're not gonna, I don't know if they can manifest themselves visibly or not. I think the demons have to have a I don't think they can. Fallen angels can. So they're gonna try to trip you up. So that's why we have to be, the Bible, one of the gifts of the Spirit is discerning of spirits, where we can discern whether somebody is of God, is of Satan. And that's part of our spiritual warfare, is how to discern who the enemy is. Now, the last days, let's go back to the last days. We are in the last days, like I said, and the only specific, and Jesus makes reference of the days of Noah. This is not a misspelling. This is how the Greek translated it in English for this, in the New Testament. Now, Jesus made the comment that right before his return, it was going to be like the days of Noah. So the only specific sin mentioned in Genesis 6 before the flood was the B'nai Elohim, which is the fallen angels, the sons of God, going after human women. And so let's look at society now, especially like Hollywood. Hollywood is kind of like a gauge of how far mankind will go. Society overall, Hollywood. Why wouldn't Hollywood try to make angels look sexy? Let's look at it. Other than It's a Wonderful Life, Clarence wasn't so sexy, but just look at some of the Hollywood movies that involve angels. They're good looking, and they're charming and charismatic, and they're popular. But let's look at some Bible points to consider. The Olivet Discourse. This is where Jesus was talking. They had just left the temple area, and the apostles, the disciples, commented on how beautiful the temple was. It was like one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. I mean, it gleamed so much that you could see it for miles away as you approached from the east. In the eastern, the morning sun would just reflect off it. So they were saying how great it was, and Jesus says, well, not one of these, there's going to come a day where not one stone is going to be standing upon another, and this and that. And the disciples were like, well, tell us what's going to happen. when you return. So Jesus gave details some preceding events. And then it's recorded in 3 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Matthew 24 gives a lot of detail. But society today, and I apologize, I don't know why this particular slide's here kind of threw me off, but we can't avoid truth. Even the disciples didn't want to believe that their wonderful temple was going to be destroyed. So Jesus had to really lay it out for them. But there is a principle. Now, this isn't just about talking about this. There's several topics that I'm going to address on this podcast that people just like to avoid. They don't like to talk about it. It's difficult. But there's a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all argument, which cannot fail to keep men in everlasting ignorance. And that principle is condemnation before investigation. So if you're not willing to investigate something, then you're going to be, you're not going to know. You're not going to have the information. You're not going to be able to argue. You're not, you're just going to be in not so blissful ignorance when it comes to this stuff. You have to investigate, especially something in the Bible that if it sounds weird, Michael Heiser likes to say, if it's in the Bible and it's weird, it's important. And there's a lot of weird stuff in the Bible that's important. And I want to try to cover as many of these topics as I can on this channel. So don't be afraid to investigate crazy stuff, because you never know. It just might be true. Now let's look at the B'nai Elohim today. These are the sons of God. Are they interbreeding with humanity? And I don't have documented evidence for this, but there's stuff that I read about, and obviously you can't believe everything you see on the internet, read on the internet, but it doesn't mean you have to disbelieve everything just because it's on the internet either. That's why you research and check other sources. But they're going to try this again. They're trying to deceive more people into believing they are benevolent. There's what's called the walk-in phenomenon. A walk-in is a new age concept of a person whose original soul has departed his or her body and has been replaced with a new soul, either temporarily or permanently. This is from Wikipedia. So these fallen beings, now they're not coming back this time around as gods. Only, let me put it this way, only as gods. There's other deceptions that they're trying to fool humanity into believing that they're the good guys. Angels. So let's look at angels again. The word angels in the Bible is angelos in the New Testament, and melech or melachim, and it basically means messenger. They are often terrifying and beautiful beings. Just think of Daniel whenever he's seen Gabriel, or he fell flat on his face. John, the Revelator, he's seen this angel, fell flat on his face. He just passed out. And contrary to what this is just a graphic I found, but there's only a couple divine beings that have wings, and those are the cherubim and the seraphim that are basically around God's throne. Cherubims are the throne guardians, and seraphims pronounce and declare the holiness and greatness of God. They have wings, and I guess also the 4 creatures, the beasts, the living creatures before the throne. Doesn't really say what those are, because they got a weird description. I think they have some wings too, but most divine beings do not have wings. They look like men when they appear. But let's look at UFOs. Again, they may come back as gods, but also the UFO phenomenon has just exploded in the last, since 1947, but really in the last decade has it really ramped up. And even in the last year, they're talking about full disclosure, and they've had congressional hearings about this material, about UFOs. They call them UAPs now. Guess I should update my slide here, but Luke 21:26 says, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. So what are these powers of heaven? Well, and what's the things that are coming on the earth? So the Somega Conspiracy is a pretty good book by Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, talks about the UFO phenomenon and how it's connected to demonic fallen angel activity. So, that's something really, I think it's like a really, what sort of thing? Game changer, if you will, for the end times. And then you got Alien Encounters by the late Chuck Missler, so are talking about the return of the Nephilim. Are UFOs real? Where are they from? What is their agenda? And are they friendly or hostile? And what does the Bible say about them? Are UFOs real? UFOs, are they real? There's much that is uncorroborated, disinformation, and unreliable. But there's also too much to ignore that is substantiated, involving multiple reliable witnesses. And they have been plotted on multiple radars simultaneously. So UFOs, which are basically unidentified flying objects, doesn't mean they're space aliens. For number one, space doesn't really exist the way people thinks it does. Check out Black Friday if you're wondering what I mean by that. I'm not going to get into that on this episode, but they have again substantiated, multiple reliable witnesses, and then you got the radar. I mean, you can't fool a radar. There's something there. Like I said, Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. L.A. Marzulli, author of the Nephilim trilogy and the Watcher series and all kinds of the cosmic chess match, has done a lot of research on UFOs and the Nephilim and anything that's involving the supernatural stuff of the last days. He says fallen angel activity is increasing, and it's only going to get worse as the days draw closer to the return of Christ. Then he said UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. So yeah, this stuff isn't just, people aren't making this stuff up. I mean, some people are, but not every incident is made up. There's some of the stuff is real. I've heard it said, let me see, I don't know if I have a slide on this or not, that I think it's 3% of the population of the United States either has seen or knows somebody who's seen a UFO. And I can say that I know somebody who saw a UFO. So that's just for me. My best friend growing up, his dad seen one hovering over the neighbor's barn. It was cigar shaped. Now UFOs really seem to hang around defense sites. And I'm not going to read this whole article. You can look this up online, but I will read the first paragraph. Strange flying visitors to several defense installations in recent years are reported in nearly 1,000 pages of documents recently released by the Central Intelligence Agency. And I don't know how old this article is. This lesson, the slides I put together about 10 years ago. So this is probably back in the 80s and 90s that this, started to come out, maybe the early 2000s. This is a image of something that was picture of somebody took from something coming down from the sky, this strange light. And it kind of looks like where it said Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. And then he says, no wonder even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it kind of looks like, what a conception of maybe a fallen angel looks like coming down from falling from heaven. There's all kinds of images online of strange lights that people see. The late Larry King had a program talking about UFOs in Texas. And Texas, well, they're all over the place. And the sightings have been everywhere. This is Michio Kaku, I think astrophysicist. He's a scientist. I don't believe everything. I don't believe 90% of what he says, but he was talking about these, just strange lights. Look, I mean, this one here, that's really look again, it looks like kind of like a fallen angel coming out of the sky. You got these lights here, and then there was these spiral lights. I think this was in Norway. This is 2009, and you just got these strange orbs in the sky in these weird shapes. I mean, people are seeing some strange stuff in the sky. Here's the where it's okay. Now I can get this information. According to multiple surveys over the last several decades, and from different countries, 5 to 7% of people have seen a UFO, and 10 to 15% know someone who's seen a UFO. So my original statement was wrong. I was trying to remember, do it by memory. I guess I should have waited for the slide to come up. At least several 100,000 estimated UFO sightings have been documented over the last 50 years. And the total number of UFO sightings is estimated to be in the millions. At least several thousand sightings are reported each year. Only a small percentage of those who see a UFO report the sighting. And then Luke 21:11 says, great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven or the sky. It's reported that approximately 1% of the US population claims alien abduction, all with similar details. That's 1%. Now we have a population of 300 million. 10% would be 30 million. 1% would be 3 million. That's a lot. 3 million people claim that they've been abducted by aliens. Now, some of these UFOs is kind of like, it's a really paradoxical behavior. And again, there's multiple competent witnesses plotted on radar. They leave tangible traces on ground. They've been photographed. This is really weird. So they in excess of 6,000 miles per hour without sonic booms. That's almost about 10 times the speed of sound almost. And no sonic boom. Right angle turns at 16,000 miles per hour. If that was like a flesh human being doing that, they would be splattered on the side of the craft. And they materialize and dematerialize without traces. So I mean, they like go that fast. I mean, we have now no physical technology, at least man-made, that can do that. So this is okay. Got that one. No. So documentation: 6,000 professional publications, 2,200 foreign publications, 1,350 UFO related periodicals. Early history from 1650 to 1945. There's about 700 books and 300 books prior to 1650 that document UFO sightings. The Washington Post, and I don't know when this was ran, but it says a saucer outran a jet. The pilot reveals. It's had to have been a long time ago, because until recently that stuff was taboo to talk about. I don't even know why I'm putting NASA on here, because NASA's all liars. So I'm gonna skip this. I don't trust NASA with anything these astronauts are I don't believe anything they say, so I'm gonna skip this. Vatican prepares for extraterrestrial disclosure. That's interesting. The Vatican has just completed a 5-day conference on astrobiology where scientists convene to discuss the detection and implications of extraterrestrial life. So they're talking, they're looking for it. You know, the Vatican owns the most telescopes on Earth. They control a lot of the science, and astronomy. A lot of the universities have a lot, and you know, it was the Vatican that developed the Big Bang Theory. In case you didn't know, it wasn't the Vatican per se; it was a Jesuit priest. That's another story. But they've got this is their Lucifer, for their Lucifer devices. This is up in the Grand Mountains. You go ahead. See if I got this anywhere. So okay, let me back up. Mount Graham in Arizona is one of the holiest sites for I want to say the Apache tribe, or for at least for Native Americans. That's one of the most sacred mountains there is, and they believe there's a portal to the star gods there. And it took a lot of political maneuvering to get that observatory put up on top of Mount Graham. But it has so they believe Jesus might be the son of a star child, and it's okay to believe in aliens. And Vatican says aliens could exist, and they're talking about they would be willing to baptize them. Then they say maybe aliens can teach us more about religion because maybe they aren't, you know, stained by sin. This is the Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. It's a long way to make the acronym Lucifer. The Lucifer device. Seriously. How much more blatant can you be? Tom Horn, the late Tom Horn and the late Chris Putnam wrote these 2 books talking about Rome's fascination with UFOs and talking about the final pope. They're very good reads. I highly recommend that you read them. There's a lot of good information in there. Then you got ECETI Ranch, which is enlightened contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. So there are people out there trying to contact ET. Then you get the search for extraterrestrial intelligence with all these large radio telescopes pointed towards the sky when there's really nothing out there but the firmament. So I don't know what they think they're looking for, other than the Great Delusion that's been in progress for millennia. There's nothing up there but the firmament, the sun, the moon, and the stars. So I'm going to stop the lesson here before I get into underground alien bases on US soil. So please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this with your family, your friends. Again, this is Talking Truth Ministries. I just want to share some what I believe is truth to fight the deceptions coming in this world. So good night and God bless.